Michigan sports. Red Wings, Lions, Tigers, Pistons, Michigan State, and the list goes on. And you love beer. Who doesn't? What if we mixed the two together? This is State of My Sports. We'll talk everything Michigan sports, like only we do, and then we'll down our fair share of beer from a local brewery, grading the beer throughout the episode. So pop a cold one on your end, and we'll get busy on ours. This is the State of My Sports.
And this is episode 174, recording live on Thursday. This has to be our first time ever recording on a Thursday. We're recording live on September 22nd, 2022. Once again, we have a football-packed episode breaking down the Lions win, Wolverines win, and the Spartans loss. We'll talk a little bit about a little around the league of the NFL, and also do our picks against the spread in our betting hero segment. And like we always do, we'll drink and review a Michigan beer here. Tonight we're drinking from Lost Art right down the road. Good group of guys there. We're drinking a couple of their beers. We got an IPA, we got Oktoberfest, so that'll be interesting, mixing it up a little bit. But we got two of them. That's always exciting. If you're joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Twitch, let us know what you're sipping on tonight, and be part of the conversation. Let us know your opinion on all the topics, and tell us about all your thoughts on the Lions, Wolverines, and Spartans. This is gonna be. I just love football season. Football season's the best. It's just such a I didn't even have to change anything other than just the number of episodes we're on, basically, and then I just kept everything else the same. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, we're gonna have some football-packed episodes here, I think, for a couple of weeks, which is a good change of pace.
Yes,
there's obviously plenty to talk about, plenty happening, big stories, shockers across, all levels of football right now.
Oh yeah,
and it's just crazy how busy life gets when you got 2, 3, 4 days of football to watch
right
at the end of every week, on top of everything else going on.
I am a little nervous recording here on Thursday because we got a football game to watch. It's like, man, I might like this a little too much.
And this is a big game too.
Yeah, I mean, you got
I know it's early in the season.
Rivals.
Yeah, division, and two teams that might have to win this game, to have a chance to make the playoffs.
No, it's going to be good, and I don't know, it'll be good. But it's I'm Sam Waltart. With me today, we got John Dornboss. It's just us here tonight.
Yeah.
Man, so we were going to record on Tuesday. You got some last-minute plans that you had to take care of, and I completely understand. Then,
stuck at work.
None of the other guys are just they're just out for a while here, I think. This is going to be interesting, but I appreciate you being here tonight.
Yeah,
and making it work. We got an episode in.
Yeah, we'll get some guest fill-ins too to
I'm sure
fill up the screen a little bit. You probably get sick of looking at my ugly mug anyway. So.
Exactly. We got some different camera angles here inside. It's a little different than usual. But before we jump in, I did want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors that help keep this thing rolling and free for our listeners. DeHop's Brewing Company in Cafe is the official brewery of State of My Sports, and Betting Hero helps us and you get the best promotions available in the sports betting world. Dude, I kind of want to watch some of this game, so let's get right into this episode. What do you think?
Yeah, let's dive in.
Let's start.
Quick recap on the weekend.
Yeah,
right?
Did you do anything exciting or no?
I did not get to watch enough football.
No?
I will tell you that. And then, got busy.
You had one job, and then
got busy Sunday afternoon, decided to go do the orchard visit thing with the lady friend, and that kind of tied up the rest of the day. And I think, honestly, I went to bed at 8 o'clock Sunday night.
Did you really? So you didn't watch any of Sunday Night Football?
No Sunday Night Football. Was just kind of watching and keeping up on fantasy, but that was about it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Sunday Night Football wasn't that good, so it was the Bears and Packers. It was kind of obvious what was going to happen there pretty early on. So
yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing.
Yeah, so I had, so Easton, he turned 6 on Sunday.
Okay.
And
big birthday party this weekend?
Yeah, so what we did was, so he has hockey every Sunday from 12 to 1. But then after that, we had around 3:30. We went to the hockey rink, the outdoor rink behind Walker.
Yep.
And he had a bunch of friends over, and they played some roller hockey and had a good time there. So I was able to watch the first half very dedicated, and then I had it on in the speaker, paying attention, and then I had to rewatch watch the second half of the Lions game, but good win for them, right, man?
Solid game. It was nice to see them favored and come out ahead.
Right? Yeah. Well, the funny thing is they were favored all week, and then right before the game started, it went the other way, and they were actually underdog before the game started.
Wow. News to me. I guess I was just listening to the radio going into the weekend.
Yeah.
This is the first time it's ever going to happen. And then, how classic
right?
of Las Vegas to just do that to the Lions.
Just do it to the Lions, right? Exactly. Let's get into our beer introductions. We're drinking a couple from Lost Art. Like I mentioned, Lost Art here in Walker. Have you ever been there?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you like that?
I got to stop by and hit that food truck up. I heard those burgers are amazing.
I gotta do it. They're actually working on a second truck.
I did see they released that memo that they're gonna.
Oh, did they release it?
Go out on the road with it.
Yeah, so they're gonna have one like basically stationed at the brew house constantly because they're just doing so well. So they got to keep it there. But they wanted to bring one, like have another one that they can go to festivals and all that kind of stuff.
All the rallies and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool. Good for them.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've yet to try it, but I've heard incredible things about it.
And I'm just impressed with their beers too. I know we did one episode live there, and I think I've been there 2 other times.
Yeah, okay.
And they're really good at mixing things up over there. It's a nice change of pace.
They're digging into like the milkshake versions and stuff like that.
Like a malt brew almost.
Yeah,
you know? And I know I tried one earlier this summer, and it was amazing.
Yeah,
like,
it's funny to talk to like brewers because like they don't really like it. Like they're not a big fan of making those, but they know that that's what sells. So like
it's like the classic Budweiser guy. He's never gonna touch a seltzer in his life.
Exactly.
Kind of the same pace.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with their Oktoberfest, which obviously here we are in almost October.
Isn't that crazy how fast September's going? Like we anticipated the NFL all of August.
Yeah.
And the month went so slow.
Yeah.
It's almost October.
Yeah.
Perfect beer.
It's absolutely insane. And like I saw these October beers coming out, I'm like, no, it's too early. It's too early. You see the pumpkin beers, like it's too early. And all of a sudden here we're in the midst of it. It's actually prime time for them. And then it is what it is. But on the can, basically they say this traditional German style lager is filled with rich, flavorful malts and balanced by lightly floral hops. It pours with a glowing orange. Oh, man, this font's hard for me to read. Hues in the glass, is that right? And exudes vibrant bready malt aroma. Man, you read it.
Aromatics while finishing crisp and clean.
All right.
The Lost Art Oktoberfest is the perfect companion to cooler evenings and picturesque autumn days in Michigan.
Yeah, so very good beer so far. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big Oktoberfest fan. This tastes really good to start it out.
I'm not either, but this one I feel like is smoother than most Oktoberfest beers that I guess, like...
So it's 5.8% alcohol by volume, but, like, I don't know. Like, I feel like Oktoberfests are very... What's I don't even know the right word. Is it, like... It's not bitter. Very, like... I don't even know. But it's...
They're usually strong in that, like, that palate taste that maybe you're not acquired to. And I'm in the same boat. I don't drink Oktober
the thing
beers.
that I don't like usually about Oktoberfest, whatever that is, I can't pinpoint it. This has less of it, and I'm a big fan of that side of it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, good start, and then later on we're gonna dig into Star Party. So this is their brand new IPA. They do some really good IPAs. I like their I can't remember their names right now, but they have just a few good IPAs that we really like. So it's Star Party. It's 8.7% alcohol by volume. It's a Pro-Am beer brewed by Paul Ahrens. Double West Coast IPA with Phantasm powder. Wow. I wish I knew what that was, but I'm sure it's going to be really good.
Sounds very important to a good beer.
It really does. Before we jump into episode 174, I want to remind everyone that the DeHop's Brewing Company and Cafe is closed for now, but working through their staffing issues and hope to open again for you all soon. If you are in the West Michigan restaurant community and looking to join for a new start in the restaurant business, please reach out to the DeHop's Brewing Company and see if it's a fit. We trust that they will be open and be back and better than ever very soon. DeHop's is the official brewery of State of My Sports in 2022. And if you beer be ready. Keep an eye out. Keep an eye out for information. I think they got some stuff brewing, for the lack of a better term, and no pun intended there. But they're working on it. They're getting there, and just miss having them open because I love their Taco Tuesdays.
Oh man.
But as long as we can be there every second Tuesday of every month, I'm all right.
Yeah.
We'll make it work. But usually, when we got a lot of football to talk about, we kind of decided that we'd pass on the flight topics. But a couple big things happened. So I wanted to talk about it
recently.
I'm happy outside of football.
Yeah, I'm happy to see this on the show sheet.
So the Tigers hired Scott Harris, who was the Giants general manager, to be their president of baseball operations. What they're talking about doing is he's eventually going to hire a general manager, but the upgrade for him to become the president of baseball operations is kind of the first step of getting the new general manager in. He's the one that's going to make that hire, but he's going to be the top of the totem pole, basically, when it comes to baseball decision making for the Detroit Tigers. And look, I looked at, so he was a general manager for the Giants. Before that, he was with the Cubs. He's an up and coming. I think he's 35 years old.
Yeah, very
he's
young.
Young, very up and coming star is basically what they're saying about this guy. I don't know if you listened to his press conference, but he's very well spoken, very calculated with his answers, and I love to hear that. And he seems to be ready to just observe for a while and kind of learn a lot about what this organization already has and what he can use and what he can't. You know what I mean? And I love hearing that. He's not going to jump in and be like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. No, just settle in, reel in a little bit, and start learning from the people that are there, because you have to trust certain people that are part of the organization to really know the true ins and outs of what's going on right now.
Yeah, you can't just come in and overstep what's already established.
Mm-hmm.
And we all know what we're looking for. I think it's a great hire.
Mm-hmm.
Again, the guy brings a professional persona with him.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's better than going after somebody who's already maybe got a big head or maybe a little bit better resume. But you're talking to organizations that are top tier in the National League, and if he can bring a little flavor and spice to Detroit, I'm all for it.
Yeah, and I think what you said there was actually pretty spot on, because you don't want to bring in a guy that's got a big head and he's like, oh, I've been there, done that. But you also don't want to bring in a guy that maybe the league is the baseball world has kind of passed him by. And I feel like you got this guy who is willing to learn, willing to listen, willing to be flexible, and he's not a my way or the highway type guy. He doesn't have the arrogance, but he also hasn't just stuck to, hey, this is the way it's going to be, this is the way it's always been, this is the way it's always going to be. You know what I mean? You got a guy that's with the times and has a lot of connections in the league that I think is pretty exciting. I try to kind of look through connections and be like, oh, well, he made this move, he made that move. That's not the way the baseball world works. You can't really dig into it. And he's being only 35, you're not going to be like, oh, well, he was part of drafting this player. And it just doesn't work in baseball the way that it works in football or basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to come in and want drastic change or bring out these oddball ideas.
Yeah.
I mean, San Francisco is just a couple of years removed from a pretty
good run.
Solid run. Yeah,
and it came out of nowhere, too.
Especially for a National League team.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a little more rare in the National League to make so many appearances in the World Series.
Yeah.
Unless you're like the Cardinals or something against Detroit. I don't know. But and San Francisco.
Yeah. How funny is that?
So, yeah, like you said, he's going to fit the mold, and he'll probably be in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's face it. We got a heck of a manager, and if this is a way to keep him around and then bring in the right GM to fit, bridge the gap between the two.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
That was my first thought. For the first order of business that I think he should do is figure out what's going on with AJ Hinch in that contract and make it obvious, because we went into this season thinking he had an opt-out. Ever since then, it sounds like he doesn't have an opt-out. Opt-out, whether he has it or he doesn't, I don't care. I feel like restructure this contract, give him an extension, and be like, hey, if you want to be part of this, we need to know. You know what I mean? Get rid of all the questions and Make it so he has his guy. And, like, if he trusts A.J. Hinch, he needs to, let the fans know, let the team know, let A.J. Hinch know, hey, you're not going to be my scapegoat if things go bad early on. Like, let's solidify this and really, truly build this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think that's going to have a trickle-down effect to maybe what they do with free agency, too. Yeah. We got young guys. We got a farm system that we should have high hopes in.
Yeah.
We have injuries that we hope are, successful recoveries. And guys that can, get some innings in for us. But I feel like it's going to kind of open up the door for more possibility and more talk on building a legitimate franchise and a roster that can go out and win games.
Yeah. So, I mean, the hire of this president of baseball operations, everybody obviously had the pipe dream of Theo Epstein, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where we were at, is you weren't going to get that pipe dream guy. You weren't going to get a guy that everybody was going to be like, oh, this is a home run, no doubt. This is the way it's going to, like, this is what we're going to. But what we have is a guy that's backed by Theo. He was a right-hand man for Theo Epstein, and he's got a praise for him. So I do have a quote by Epstein. He said, talking about Scott Harris here, the new general manager, the new president of baseball operations for the Detroit Tigers. This is what Theo Epstein said about him. He said, he is someone who really understands the landscape of the game. He's smart, analytical, process-oriented, and patient. A really strategic thinker. He's always plugged in because he has this really unique ability to connect and build trust with everyone in and or around an organization, players, staff, scouts, front office, fans. He's naturally progressive in the way he integrates technology and data to the organization, and he's got a great work ethic. He really knows how to lift up the people around him. People genuinely love working with him and connecting with him. Look, you can't really lose in this type of hire because of what we are coming from, but to get this type of praise, to get this type of attention, to get a guy to leave a general manager position in his hometown. He's from San Francisco. His family's there. And they just packed up and went to Detroit, Michigan. Like, that's a win, in my opinion. You went out and you got to hire. And that should be the most exciting thing about it, is you didn't just hire within. You didn't hire within. You didn't get random general manager's right-hand man. You went out and you got a general manager who's getting the promotion, who's going to put someone else in there to succeed. But now he's got the focus. He has the reins. As the president of baseball operations, the general manager is going to answer to him. You know what I mean? Where when he was the general manager, he was answering to somebody else. So this is a upgrade for him. And I think the Tigers fans should be excited. And I highly recommend to listen to his press conference. Let us know what you guys think, because I listened to it, and it was just like, this guy knows what he's doing. And it was awesome to hear.
I think it's a perfect market for him, too. Again, going back to, like, instead of getting A, B, or C guy, we're not getting a guy that failed several times, and this is his last chance.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like managers get that position obviously way more than president of operations. Yeah. We're talking a whole nother level. But it's also not a guy that's just come up short a bunch of times. So what's he going to do for us?
Yeah.
And it's not a guy that came from, San Francisco, California, West Coast to East Coast. There's a huge transition there. But Detroit is a team. It's an organization. It's a fan base that has passion.
Yep.
And if he connects that well with everybody else around him, again, going back to what Theo said, I think this whole response that you just read checks every single box that you're looking for. And this is maybe his chance to, like, prove to those other large city organizations, Chicago and San Francisco, that, hey, I'm the man.
And the most exciting part for me is the fact that our owner,
his last name's not Avila.
Yeah, that's definitely the best part. But, like, the fact that Chris Ilitch went out and was aggressive, and he went and got not just somebody, he went out and got the guy, in my opinion. You know what I mean? The only guy that would be available in this type of situation, and it almost feels like he stole him over. You know what I mean? And I love the aggressiveness. Who cares about what he's paid? I don't care about any of that. But it seemed like Ilitch is aggressive, and that's what we want to see from our owner because we want him to open the checkbook. And I'm sure a guy like this, Scott Harris, wasn't going to come here unless he saw a vision from the ownership. You know what I mean?
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think that should be the most exciting thing out of all of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of other markets out there that have money to spend that he could have gone to and maybe had a little more financial leverage with the roster. Got a guy named Miguel Cabrera that's kind of filling up a spot that we could have and spend. No, I'm excited. I think it's a good combination to go with Chris Ilitch. He's taking over something that wasn't his. It was handed down to him, and maybe this is the right direction to go. Go youth. Don't overspend for somebody that has already just been successful.
Yeah.
And not that I didn't want Theo Epstein. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, right. But he wasn't coming.
But like a Dombrowski too. Like you're gonna overpay for guys like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's he getting paid. Have you seen
any
contract numbers?
No, I haven't.
I think that's honestly besides the point.
Yeah. It's just you went out and got a guy that wants to make a name for himself.
Yeah, and maybe he fits that age bracket with the ownership too. So like, hey, we're both kind of young. We got this opportunity. Let's make something of it. I feel like it's like those meetings are going to be just like one big brainstorm with a lot of very smart people that know how to talk. AJ Hinch is a class act of a manager when it comes to speaking his mind and getting the point out, and checking the boxes, X and O's. It'll be interesting to see what they do general manager-wise going forward.
Yeah.
And I really hope that AJ Hinch is here for 7-8 years.
Yeah, I do too. I really think he's the right thing. And you look at the way that all of these organizations are going. You got Yzerman running the show in Detroit for the Red Wings. That's great. You got Holmes, who's done an unbelievable job. We'll get into the Lions here soon. Now you got Harris here, who he's going to sign. But then you also got Troy Weaver. For the Pistons, went out and made a move, like kind of quiet move here. But people were talking about it on the radio.
I'm
that
pumped.
I've heard. So
I'm pumped.
So the Pistons acquire Utah's Bojan Bogdanovic. Did I say that right?
It's Bojan Bogdanovic. Yeah.
All right. Yep. In a trade for Kelly Olynyk and Saban Lee. So he's a 33-year-old, 6'7", versatile player who is entering his 8th year. He was with the Jazz. He was the Jazz's second leading scorer at 18 points per game last season behind Donovan Mitchell. He also shot 38% from three. So he's on the last year of a $19.6 million deal. Expiring contract. That's a great thing to have. So if it works, you look like a genius. If it doesn't work, you still look like a genius because it's an expiring contract, then you can be aggressive. But let's talk about him as a player. And I'm going to kind of hand it over to you because I don't know anything about this guy other than what I've read. But what he brings to the Pistons is actually very exciting, right?
Yeah, legitimate scorer. I think it's going to complement Cade well. A guy that he can dish the ball off to. We already got guys that can shoot, too. That's what's crazy. We just added another shooter, consistent scorer. He's tough to, guard. He's a European-style off-the-ball player, but can create his own shot, and he just makes buckets, man. I'm super pumped. I look at it this way. Kelly Olynyk had no role in our roster.
Mm-hmm.
At best, he was coming off second team, and I want to say he was making close to $15, $16 million a year.
I mean, it has to equal out, and I'm sure Saban Lee wasn't getting paid much, so
I know that
it had to be around, combined to be around $19 million.
I'm going to say it was really close, and if we're just spending a little bit more money, I'm all for it. Yeah, this guy, he's going to help. And he's a good defender. He's just another body out there that plays the whole floor. I think he's coming off an injury, though.
Okay.
I don't know if it was last season or the previous season for the Jazz, but I think he tore something in his knee
okay.
I don't think it was Achilles. I'm pretty sure it was ACL.
All right.
But NBA players rebound from those injuries all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm not worried about that because he's not going to have to use that type of athleticism in Detroit. We already got young guys around him that are going to get to the bucket and do all the dirty work. He's
basically the guy that you can dish it off to.
Yep.
And he'll hit the shot, right?
Yeah.
More times than not.
He's a seasoned, what was his name? Luke Kennard.
Okay.
Luke was a left-handed three-point shooter. That's really all he was used for because he was a defensive liability. just a huge upgrade. And honestly, I really don't like Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah.
It goes back to, the times that he played with Boston and Miami Heat. He was kind of a dirty player.
Okay.
But he got away with it for some reason. Like he was kind of nasty though. Like he's a big dude. He's a big body. Are we going to miss that size? I don't think so.
Yeah,
because I don't think the NBA is built like that anymore. And I was kind of.
Well, it's not like Bojan is that small either.
No,
right?
he's a body.
He's a size dude.
Yeah, he's a frame. You got to be in the NBA nowadays.
Yeah, that's true.
Especially to be a wing player because you don't know what you're going to get matched up against defensively. I was stoked. I saw it this morning.
Yeah.
First thing I saw as I went on to Twitter when I got to work.
Yeah.
I was just like, let's go.
Yeah, it's extra scoring.
Making another move, improving the roster, and it's pushing us closer to a contending team in the Eastern Conference playoffs.
And the fact that it's an expiring contract, I think, is very important because you got free agency coming up, and what Detroit's building is something that might attract those free agents. And you got to have that money. So if he works out and they sneak in the playoffs and they do all of those things, and that's great. Or you can trade him because that's valuable, and then you add more assets, or you just wash your hands with it and move on, and then you have that extra cap space. Where if you kept like Saban Lee and Olynyk, that cap space wouldn't have opened up nearly as early as it will with Bojan.
And I think both of those guys, Olynyk and Saban Lee, are fighting for seconds of game time play, not minutes, just seconds, because our guards are deep, our bigs are deep, and a lot of guys on our team can shoot. So, like, why bring Kelly Olynyk in? I don't know.
There's no point.
The only thing I can think is to use fouls, but that's playoff basketball.
Yeah,
and
he can do them anyway,
late season
right?
games when things are really like coming down to crunch time. But yeah, Bogdanovich, man, and he can he's sneaky. He can play the 2 if we want to run a big lineup out there. He can play the 3, and he's probably just a little small for the 4. But I think he rotationally just fits well with this team and the way things are going. And if he has a big year and you sign him to another 1-year deal, some guys late in their careers do that when they're kind of like a utility player like that, where they got one strength. I don't know. I'm not comparing him to like Ray Allen or any of these guys. He'll never have that illustrious of a career. But if some of those guys, it's just like, towards the end of their career, they just play, one season, 2 season contracts, 1 year, 2 year deals. He could be a guy that we bring back next year, and I don't know.
Maybe at a better rate or something.
Yeah,
like
if you can convince the guy to like take a little pay cut but stick around, if they make a run. I don't know, man. I'm excited. It's a big move.
It seems like a sneaky big move,
because
it's not a blockbuster by any means.
And the Jazz are unloading.
They
traded Donovan Mitchell. They traded Rudy Gobert.
Okay.
And now they get rid of Bogdanovich. That's their core.
Yeah.
They're in a complete rebuild.
And I think we didn't give up anything future, of future value, and that I think is the best part about it.
Yeah, I look at it like you said, expiring contracts. Kelly Olynyk was one of them. I'm gonna miss Saban Lee because he is a little workhorse of a guy out there playing guard, a little bit undersized in the NBA, but I just don't think that either of those guys are gonna see much playing time. Bogdanovich is.
Good move.
Drinking craft beer, having fun, and talking sports in the state of Michigan. You're listening to State of My Sports.
We got a win to talk about. A Detroit Lions win, and that just makes me so happy. The Detroit Lions beat the Washington Commanders 36-27 behind a near-perfect first half where they led 22-0 at halftime. They were outscored 27-14 in the second half, but Washington never had the ball with a chance to take the lead or let alone tie the game since the Lions scored their first touchdown in the first quarter, which is awesome. They didn't have a chance ever since then, which is cool. Goff went 20 of 34, 256 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Very, very solid game. St. Brown keeps on doing what he does. 9 catches for 116 yards, 12.9 yard average, and 2 touchdowns. He actually won player of the week, didn't he? Offensive player of the week for
NFC.
For the NFC, which Man,
good for him.
This guy.
He must have led the NFC in individual catches. I'm sure
I'm sure he did.
What got him. But you also look at 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And over 100 yards.
And then he also had 68 rushing yards? Is that what he?
Yeah, he broke one long one too at like a little kind of like an end around or something. Yeah. But I saw that highlight and it's like,
so I was part of the group about him that was like, all right, was it just the fact that nobody else was there, so he was just kind of racking up all these stats and late in last year and stuff?
Oh yeah.
I had those worries and those concerns. I was like, this guy's, he's going to be the number 3 on this team. This dude is legit. He's already what Golden Tate was for us when he was in his heyday. You know what I mean? He's already doing all of it. He's right there. And that is super exciting because what's coming up the pipe is Jameson Williams, and like this position is totally set, not because of Jameson Williams, not because of DJ Chark, but because Amon-Ra St. Brown is the backbone of this wide receiving core. It is unreal what he's doing.
It completely changes every team's defensive philosophy going against the Lions from years past, right? We don't have a guy that has done what he's done since Kelvin.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we don't have Matt Stafford as a quarterback either. So he's making Jared Goff look pretty good right now.
Yeah.
And I'm impressed because he is kind of undersized height-wise in the NFL to be making all of these plays. But we're seeing a lot of guys that are a little undersized making a lot of splash in the NFL.
Yep.
And I don't know, I listen to national sports talk too, and kids nowadays want to be tight ends or wide receivers if they're not a quarterback. Yeah. They don't want to be a running back anymore.
No way.
I think we're going to see, Kelvin was a physical specimen that was carved by Greek mythologists, We don't need that anymore. And it's great to see St. Brown, but he is built to last. He looks durable. He's strong. Let's keep it healthy.
He looks the start. Yeah, he looks the part.
Let's keep it healthy. Not only does he have great hands, but he kind of gives Jared Goff a little bubble to throw to as opposed to 2 mitts.
Yeah.
He can come in and make moves. He's flashy. He's sneaky. And he's burning these linebackers and D-backs like it's going out of style.
This is way overblown, is what I'm going to say right now. He is our Cooper Kupp. He's our do-it-all guy. He's our how the heck did he get open? How, you know what I mean? Like, you just sit and watch. It's like, man, he's a do-it-all type of guy. Look, I'm not comparing him to Cooper Kupp. I'm not doing that.
Oh, he's bigger than Cooper Kupp.
But, that's what he is to this team.
Yeah.
And that is really exciting. That's what we need.
Need a reliable wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like you said, Golden Tate shows signs too. Golden Tate was a great wide receiver as well. Like, he bridged that gap too when we were running low on guys. But we watched guys like Kenny Galladay have a breakout year, and now he's not even playing any football.
It's crazy.
And all those other years we were throwing guys out there that you didn't know who they were until they put on the jersey. Man, he is phenomenal. You got that with D Swift and Jameson Williams still waiting in the closet to come back out and play some football. I think he's almost ready.
Yeah. I sit and watch this team, and I'm just like, this offense, I'm like, what if we had Stafford still?
Oh,
and I know I need to stop with that. I need to. I know I do. But what our offense is right now still could be exactly what it is with Stafford. So I'm not once Jameson Williams comes in, that's where I'm like, all right, it's a different offense. This is a Stafford moving Stafford helped us get Jameson Williams. So that's when I'm gonna have to cross that off my list. But right now I'm just like, and I feel bad because I think what Goff's doing is pretty darn good. But let me get into a little bit more here. The Lions outgained the Commanders 425 to 396, 191 rushing yards to 88, which I think is a very important stat right there. In their turnover battle, they won 1-0. Sorry, I lost my spot here. We were told heading into the game that Swift would be on a bit of a snap count, which he only touched the ball 7 times. He had 56 rushing yards on 5 carries and 31 receiving yards on 2 catches with a massive touchdown. That one when he's on his butt and then he gets up and runs that.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my gosh, that was awesome.
He almost broke one, too, for a rushing touchdown, and it's just like, dang,
I think it was a 50-yard run or 51-yard run.
Yep.
Jamal Williams had the bulk of the carries with 12 carries for 53 yards, and Amon-Ra St. Brown also had 68 rushing yards on 2 attempts. No Big V, no Frank Ragnow, and no Jonah Jackson. Evan Brown started at center, Logan Stenberg again at guard, and then Dan Skipper stepped in to play the other side at guard for his first career start. 3/5 of the offensive line that I've considered to be top 5, heading into the season, were gone, and here they are, just continuing to push, continuing to do what they do. It's impressive.
Yeah, you would think that's the automatic loss right there.
Yeah, that was exactly why Vegas flipped the odds.
Yeah, when you're running that offensive line out there with these guys that Skipper, it's his first NFL start.
Dan Skipper
been in the league like 6-7 years or something like that. You think the worst NFL team defense is going to humiliate 3 fill-ins?
Yeah.
And I thought that Washington was kind of built around the defensive side. I know they got some guys like out and
is it Chase Young?
Chase Young.
Yeah, he's out.
But still,
they're deep at.
Yeah, and Ron Rivera, D-line. I think he's always historically kind of been the defensive guy, the little guru there. I expect that the Washington Commanders should beat a Lions team. Yeah, that has that many Band-Aids on the offensive line.
And the Lions dominated that game from start to finish. It was awesome. I think they did a great job setting the tone early on, but really just the scheme, like the offensive line I'm talking about here, by Hank Fraley is putting together, just deserves a ton of credit. Like, it is so impressive to sit and watch. And look, when I watch it live, I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, it's just so foreign to me the way that football works. But then, like, you hear these experts talking about how they're pulling guards, they're pulling tight ends, they're like stacking one side, moving things, and then you see the holes that they're opening. The scheme of the offensive line is absolutely incredible, and that's the only reason why that 3 backups and you got your 2 tackles can go out and do what they did. Now, the rushing yards. What did I say it was? The rushing yards was 198. For some reason, that's what comes to mind, but I don't think that's correct. Sorry.
191.
191 total rushing yards is a little deceiving, I think, because you had the 50-yard run by Swift, you had the 58-yard run by St. Brown, but like when it mattered most, they were able to move the ball. They were able to get the push, and they kept Goff clean, which is your number one job. It's just very impressive what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, that opens up the play action. I think that's where Jared Goff has the only chance to, like, excel. I don't think he's a quick decision guy where he's just going to run you down the field and spread offense and pick you apart. He needs something to fall back on in times of need. So it's good to see DeAndre Swift break a long run. Obviously, Amon St. Brown. I think they said that Swift was kind of dealing with a little ankle tweak from week 1.
Yeah, yep.
So I imagine they're going to kind of, to start the season, they're going to balance that workload maybe in favor of Jamal Williams.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen because I want our best guy to get the bulk of everything, whether it's St. Brown or DeAndre Swift. Like, these guys should be putting up the big numbers, and I think they will. You don't want to, add to an injury too early in the season and take your chances out the window.
Yeah.
A dominant game on the offense, like you said, first half of the game. It's good to see Jared Goff put up 4 TDs, spread the ball around a little bit. Josh Reynolds had a really good game.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift got in on a catch. It's good to see him mix things up.
So the receiving side, you had Amon-Ra St. Brown with 9 catches, 116 yards. Josh Reynolds, 3 catches for 38. DeAndre Swift, 2 catches for 31. T.J. Hawkinson, 3 for 26. It's just incredible that he's doing all this with Hawkinson still struggling. Like, he does not look like himself. It's very weird. I mean, he had a huge third down conversion catch that was absolutely massive, but he's still dropping the ball. Like, it's just really weird to see this all working so well when I think potentially our biggest weapon
is not playing up to his expectations.
Is not playing up to,
Yeah. And DJ Shark was kind of absent in the game as well, which is kind of crazy to think about because
0 catches, zero receptions.
You would think that
0 yards, obviously.
Yeah, you would think after, St. Brown is just out there running loops around these guys that they double him up and open somebody up for like big plays.
Yeah, so they did try to hit him downfield once, and I I think Goff missed them.
Okay.
So they're working on that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what his role is going to be. Is that he's the one that's going to keep that defense honest, like knocking the top off, if you will.
Especially with the rate St. Brown is playing right now, defenses are going to have to focus in on this guy, and that's only going to cause more gaps out there for guys like DJ Shark, Josh Reynolds.
T.J. Hawkinson, too.
Hawkinson as well. Yeah, because St. Brown catches the ball all over the field.
Yeah, exactly.
So there should always be an open tight end out there, too. So, yeah, hopefully he can step that one up.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about the defense. The tone was set by them. It really was. I mean, to hold a team to no points in the first half is impressive. So they punt. So this is the way that the drives went. They punted. Sorry, I'm just gonna read this. I don't remember how I wrote it down here. Punt. So these are the defensive drives.
First
drive, punt, 0 first downs. Next drive, punt, 0 first downs. Safety, 0 first downs. Punt, 0 first downs on the next one. Another punt, 0 first downs. Punt, 1 first down. Punt, 1 first down. Halftime, 2 first downs in the whole first half. Is freaking insane. I mean, they allowed only 2 first downs and a total of 56 yards in that first half. They were buzzing. It was awesome to see, and that is what made them set the tone for this team in general. The defense. And look, the numbers aren't good. They're not a good defense. I'm not going to say that they are, but what they did in that first half is why the offense was able to go out and do what they did, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It was awesome. You put up the points when it mattered. And, yeah, the second half didn't look great where we're outscored and all that kind of stuff, but it's a full game. You did that in that first half. That is absolutely insane. Aiden Hutchinson had 5 tackles, 1 assist, and 3 sacks all in the first half. Malcolm Rodriguez and Mike Hughes each had 5 tackles with 3 assists, so 8 totals. I mean, Malcolm Rodriguez, he ranks 3rd among all defenders against the run in week 2 before Monday night's games. The 6th-round rookie was the team's highest-graded defender in the season opener. Rodriguez slotted 4th on Detroit's defense against the Commanders per Pro Football Focus. But his work against the run will sit among the elite from the weekend. Like, he was absolutely a stud in that. And really the defense in general against the run was awesome.
I think he was ranked, he was up there in the top 3 linebacker performances.
Yeah. He was the highest rated rookie.
Okay.
Again.
Yeah. And
rookie defender in all of football.
Man, imagine having that behind you through 2 weeks. That's got to be a big breath of fresh air for him.
Right.
A little weight off the shoulders. Hopefully it doesn't get to his head. But no, he's playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, he was tied for the team lead with 8 tackles, adding 1 quarterback hit. It's absolutely awesome. Keep running, you know. Alex Anzalone played 91% of the defensive snaps, while Rodriguez handled 73%. That's a tighter rotation with Chris Board coming on for only 16 reps. And, just the fact that Rodriguez has come in and basically just stolen this starting position away from Board and oh my gosh, I can't think of the other guy's name right now. The one we drafted last year, I can't think of his name. Out of Purdue. Derek Barnes. The fact that he's just come in and basically taken away their snaps is so impressive. It is incredible what Rodriguez is doing. Is he a all-pro? Is he a rookie of the year status? No, he's not. And I get that, but you got him in the 5th or 6th round, or whatever it was. That is a steal so far.
Yeah,
and he can play in this game.
Yeah, the fact that he has played in significant amount of time is just huge because we're lacking some depth out there on the defense. And so the fact that he's out there on the field but making plays is, that cherry on top, like you said, 4th, 5th round pick?
I think it was 5th.
5th?
I'm pretty sure it was 5th.
Oh, man, yeah. It's just cool to see these guys that they highlighted in Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Keep it up.
Yeah. It is awesome.
And show out. I know it's early. I know it's Washington, but Carson Wentz gets a lot of flack, especially nationwide media.
Yeah.
He's still a legitimate quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got a gun. He can move his feet. and Washington has decent wide receivers. Their running back core is a little thin right now. They're waiting for that rookie to heal up from a gunshot wound. I think Brian Williams or Robinson or something like that.
Is that the guy from Alabama? I think. Yeah, I think William.
Yeah.
Robin. Yeah, I don't know.
One of the two. Yeah. Brian something. But yeah, I mean, man, I don't know. It's cool to see him, do this against a team that has a chance to put up points and like put yards on the board, and they literally just shut him out in that first half.
Another reason why I think the spread kind of moved was because Amani Oruwariye was ruled out, and then that means Will Harris had to fill in. Yeah. And what he did was he had 5 tackles, 3 assist tackles, and the interception. Look, I don't think he had a very good game, but getting the interception is obviously, that's great. It was kind of a fluke, bouncing around, and it is what it is. But he ended up making a play out of it. Okudah was solid again. Was concerned when he left the game, but it sounds like it was just only cramps, and we're all good to go with that. We're not anything to worry about. But secondary continues to be a somewhat of an issue when we're not getting pressure. In the first half of the game, Jeff Okudah followed top Commanders wide receiver Terry McLaurin all over the field. McLaurin didn't get a single catch. This comes 1 week after Okudah shut out Eagles wide receiver Devontae Smith. The week prior, Okudah later gave up a couple of completions, including one to McLaurin, where he also blew the tackle. But it's another strong performance from Okudah, and that is exactly what this team needs. We needed a true number one corner, and I don't want to overreact or anything, but it feels like we have a number one corner with Okudah, and then Oruwariye is going to kind of take the back seat and be that backup. You know what I mean? That number 2. And if what Oruwariye did last year, he deserves the number 1 status, but that's just what Okudah's bringing is so important to this team, and it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like a number 1 on all NFL teams, but like you said, it's nice to have one here in Detroit. And
that's a good way to say it. Yeah,
he's healing up, and he's still out there. I don't look back and like hate the pick. I didn't like who was running the team at the time more than the pick itself. You can't predict injuries, and if he can just fulfill the hype that came with that draft pick and continue to do what he's doing right now, I think he will fulfill that hype.
Yep, 5 total team stacks. He had 3 for 8 and 1 each for Kaminsky, who's out due to a broken hand, and he had surgery on it, which sucks. And Charles Harris, the strips, the sack fumble safety, if you will, which was a really big play. Overall, it was far from a flawless game. And obviously it's just the Commanders and all of that. Like, I want to keep that into perspective, but this is a step in the right direction. What this is I sit here and I look at this team and I look at the schedule and I'm like, there are very, very few games that you go into and be like, auto loss. You know what I mean? And that's a step up from what we dealt with last year. What was it, 3 wins? Or was it 2 wins and a tie? Or I don't remember exactly what it was. It's just like, man, it's different. It is different. Does it mean they're going to sneak into the playoffs? Maybe not. But what it means is this is going to be a fun season to sit back and watch every single game and wonder what if. You know what I mean? Like that's there. And the talent level's there. The depth is there. It's just I am loving what I'm seeing, and I know I'm just setting myself up for her, but
well, if that offensive line gets healthy and everything clicks, I think that score of that game is going to be a little more lopsided in favor of the Lions.
Yeah.
It is great to be 1-1 through 2 weeks.
It is.
500 football team right now. I don't know that that's going to last the entire season, but it's a good start, and that's a game that you got to win. Would have been cool to maybe hear how loud the crowd got, because I imagine if the defense is playing that lights out in the first half, everybody's having a good time in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it is, a step in the right direction. A win's a win.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Dan Campbell spoke about in the locker room after the game.
Oh,
we got one.
You got one.
Let's go get another one.
Yeah.
And
it's just, it is, you can see that it's something different. Yeah, and that's, I think, the most exciting thing. And like I was saying, you start looking at the schedule, and at the very least, I would say, like, or sorry, I'm going to keep the Packers in the auto loss category. You're going to lose to the Packers. Let's just continue to keep that mindset. You're going to lose to the Bills on Thanksgiving. We'll keep those three into perspective here. Outside of that, everything at the very, very least is a 50-50 game. It's a coin flip game. It is a did you show up or did you not show up type game. And that, I sit and look at this team and I'm like, they're going to show up more times than not. And that's where I'm going to look at it and be like, there is that path to the playoffs. And I said it, preseason, all that stuff. There is that path. It is a legitimate possibility. It is a legitimate focus right here, right now. Now, they could go out and lose, and that could hurt, and we could be on the opposite side on next week, Tuesday. But, that's exciting. What we're seeing is different. It's a culture change. It is all of that. And when you combine the culture change with the talent that we're seeing, the depth that they're building, it is amazing. I'm almost speechless. I can't explain how it is because I don't want to overgo with it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I mean we've witnessed too many close game losses, and in recent years too, there's games. We should have won that one. We really should have won that one. If it wasn't for that one thing. Regardless, we're competing. They're a competitive football team. Like you said, there's probably a couple games in there where you might as well keep the money in the pocket. Don't put any money on Detroit that week.
I'm not allowed to do that.
Not allowed to do that?
Am I allowed to do that?
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Yeah. Auto
I
bets.
try not to bet on my team. But sometimes I do.
But no, it's nice to know that, like you said, there's a lot of games left in the season that they should be in those games or leading those games with a chance to win those games.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the schedule. So I brought up the three auto losses, if you will. But outside of that, you got the Vikings twice, the Bears twice, Seahawks, Patriots, Cowboys, Giants, Jags, Jets, and the Panthers. I know it's early, but a lot can change, and a lot can change around the league, and I get all of that. But Holmes and Campbell have built a better than average team. That's what I look at. We're better than average. We're playing teams that want to be better than average as well, and that's where I'm really gonna hang my hat. And I know I'm setting myself up for her, but I look at all this, and it reminds me of what I was saying about the Tigers heading into the Tigers regular season. It's like I'm ready to get hurt. Like I'm okay with it. Like I want the Sunday lineup to drive me nuts because I think that this game matters that much, even though they don't. Now, was I completely wrong about the Tigers? Yeah, I was. It was far from pretty. It was a very ugly season. The injuries obviously sucked, all that kind of stuff. But it just reminds me of that feeling. It's just, like losing by one on a last-second field goal should feel like my heart's being ripped out. It should matter that much. And right here, based on what we are, 1-1, that's where we're at. It should hurt. When we go out and lose on Sunday by a field goal, last-second field goal, that should hurt because that could be the difference of making the playoffs or not. And I love that that's where we're at already. That's the other part, is we're already here. This is year 2 of this regime.
Yeah, dang.
That is a big step up.
Yeah, we weren't there with Matt Patricia in year 2.
No, we were taking steps back.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there were weeks in recent years where I didn't even tune into the game because I didn't want to embarrass my pride.
Yeah.
And my team. But now it gives you a reason to keep engaged. Hard Knocks, Dan Campbell, kneecaps, and now, man, I don't know. That post-game locker room, I think he had the troops rallied, and I think those guys rallied behind that guy.
Yeah. And do you notice who brought the team down? Who brought everybody in and did the 1, 2, 3 family thing? Do you notice who that was? DeAndre Swift.
Yeah. Yeah. I know that Skip got
awesome.
a chance too. Yeah. I think he was first one on the floor. But yeah, DeAndre. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, man, those guys are having a good time.
They are. They're a family, man. They're close group.
I'm glad that they got Hard Knocks this year. Could you imagine 3 or 4 years ago?
Oh, we would have been the laughing stock.
So I don't know if Dan Campbell's personality brought that to Detroit, Hard Knocks. I think it had something to do with it.
Yeah.
But man, things are looking really good. I know it's week 2.
Yeah.
It's a long season, 17 games. They got a chance to disappoint us, but they've already won a little bit back from me.
Yeah.
That I lost, a few years ago.
Yeah, real quick, Carrie jumped in a little late. She said, a little late here, but I'm drinking Fruit Smash Seltzer tonight. Where is Fruit Smash Seltzer from? I've never heard of that one. Carrie, if you're still watching, please let us know where that's from.
Smash.
And then she obviously quote, because listening to me, no doubt about it, I'm ready to get hurt again. That's the Michael Scott quote from The Office. It is what it is. Couple more things I want to talk about. Lions offense has scored the most points in the NFL through week 2, and felt like points were left on the field. I think that's another interesting part of what we're seeing here is this offense seems to be clicking. It's moving well. They're scoring. And then you still have missed opportunities. And that's where I'm even more excited. You know what I mean? It's like, if you're not getting as a hockey player, Killebrew just did something, former Lion there.
Blocked
a punt. But I just remember, my coach always telling me, hey, when you're not getting chances, that's when you should be concerned. The Lions are getting chances.
Yeah.
They're missing out on a lot of them. They're putting up a lot of points, but they're also getting some chances. Couple cleaning here. Lions rank 4th overall in offense, 3rd in rushing, 19th in passing, 1st with a 7.15 yards per rush. On the defensive side, the Lions rank 30th in overall defense. Obviously, that's not pretty. 48 quarterback pressures, which is tied for the NFL, first in the NFL. Love that. That's where this defense is going to really start figuring stuff out, is if you can keep the quarterback under pressure, your defense will take care of itself. The secondary will start making plays. They don't have to guard as long. All of those things, the linebackers are able to do their job and not more. Kerry did come in and say it was from Memphis, Tennessee. Interesting. But they have the 2nd-ranked overall special teams as well, which I know nobody likes talking special teams, but that is a very, very important part of the game.
Yeah, they'll win and
Jack
lose.
Fox is awesome.
Yeah, they'll win and lose you games too, just like the other sides of the ball.
But it's early.
Fourth in overall offense.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I mean, we went into the season talking about it. The highest paid offense in all of football. They better be good. And right now we're seeing a good enough offense is the way I look at it. Defense behind schedule, but I'm not that worried about it. I'm really not. And maybe I should be a little more, but I don't know. I think they're going to be all right.
I mean, the yards per carry, too, that kind of catches your eye, 7.15. I feel like they haven't, and to be, what, you said 3rd in rushing, they don't run the ball down your throat.
Yeah.
That's like Indianapolis and Tennessee, these teams that have workhorse running backs. They really don't get that many carries, that many snaps, that many plays to touch the ball, yet they're just capitalizing on yardage. So what does that really say? Like you said, the scheme, the way the line's moving, your wide receiving core, St. Brown, is picking teams apart.
Yeah.
You're giving Goff a little more breathing room, and then, boom, you got good running backs and, St. Brown getting a carry in there that can make a big play.
Yep.
And that's how you win games in the NFL. You got to be able to make big plays. I know that their defense ranked 30th. I mean, coming off of that game against the Eagles week 1.
Yeah.
But that was still a close game. Both teams are putting up points, so you can't tell me that the Eagles defense is ranked first.
Yeah,
and
you see what the Eagles did to the Vikings. You're like, okay, maybe that loss wasn't as bad as
exactly
we thought.
And I feel like that gets us closer to week 3?
Yeah.
A game against the Vikings?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going into this game, I expect a loss. I really do. Because
it's at Minnesota?
At Minnesota, in division.
It's not just prime time, so Kirk Cousins is going
to
ball out.
It's going to be decent, right? I'm expecting a loss, and if
Okudah Jefferson?
If they can, I'd kind of like Okudah in this matchup. We'll see. But, if they win this game, it just seems to add a win to your absolute total. You don't expect to win this game. I don't expect it.
Yeah.
But you go out and do it. Oh, look out. This is going to be an uncomfortable week for everybody because I'm going to be pitching a tent.
I know every game in the NFL is a big game. This is a huge game.
It feels like it.
Yeah. And I know it's early again.
All right. If we lose, I don't think it's that big of a deal.
No, because
but you go out and win this game, you just punch a team in the mouth, that you are going head-to-head for the wild card.
Yeah.
And that is where you go out and win this game. It is massive to steal a road win.
Especially like in the NFC right now, we're seeing a lot of teams that had higher expectations than Detroit play a lot worse than Detroit.
Yep.
And we have injuries, and Dallas is doing their thing, and like that division's kind of, skeptical, up in the air.
The NFC is wide open.
Yeah. And I'd rather them win that game so that Minnesota and Chicago, I imagine, are both, a game back 3 weeks in. That's a good place to start. That's a good place to be. But if they lose this game, like you said,
it's kind of expected.
I have a hard time. I mean, I think Detroit will sweep the Bears. I do.
I do too.
I think they'll go down. I think they'll go down to Chicago and win that game. I'm always gonna lean towards the home team when it comes to playing in Minnesota and at Green Bay.
Yeah.
But if you can go out there and steal a win,
that's what I look at it. Go out and steal it.
If you happen to lose, you're one game back. You're still, right now tied for first in the division, tied for first and fourth. But
yeah, everybody's 1-for-1.
Yeah, I think. Well, I guess.
1-1.
It is a big game. And it'd be nice to see him pull this one out.
It would be awesome. It really would.
Drinking craft beer, having fun, and talking sports in the state of Michigan. You're listening to State of My Sports.
Sorry, real quick. I did want to talk about some power rankings that came out that I just thought was interesting. The Athletic has the Lions at 14th, NFL.com 16th, Sporting News 21st, Sports Illustrated 12th, Walter Football 15th, USA Today 14th, Yahoo Sports 19th, and then Pro Football Talk 26th. So it's just funny to see all over the map of where these teams kind of line up for the Lions. But
I feel like the Pro Football Talk, like they just, I don't know. I feel like they get a heavy approval rate, right? Like that's where a lot of like outlets lean towards, but they probably just ranked the Lions the worst 1-1 team, which brought them down to 26. But that's not fair because they got to be in the middle of the pack right now.
All right, moving on to Michigan State. I don't know what happened with this printer. Like everything's just off, just a little bit. So like everything's feeding into the next page. So I apologize for that. But Michigan State went to Washington to play a night game and really never showed up, losing 39-28. They were outscored 29-8 in the first half after falling behind 22-0, getting a late score with a minute 30 left to see Washington go down the field and score a touchdown for themselves to take a 29-8 lead into halftime. They scored 4 seconds left. They did outscore Washington 20-10 in the second half, but it never felt close, and the 39-28 final score really wasn't even that close, in my opinion. MSU's Jaden Reedless offense had a very slow start, but Thorne responded well and put up some nice numbers, going 30 for 42 for 323 yards and 3 touchdowns and the interception. The most surprising thing about the offense was the lack of running game. Berger had 27 yards on 13 carries, and Broussard had 3 yards on 4 carries and getting a total of 42 rushing yards. Keon Coleman had his coming out party really with 9 catches for 116 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tight end Barker had 7 catches for just under 70 yards, and Mosley had 5 catches for 64 yards and a touchdown. Every time it looked like Michigan State was going to make a push by scoring, the defense really let them down. And like last year, it was just through the air. Washington's quarterback Michael Penix Jr. Went 24 of 40 for 397 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the numbers really do not give him the justice because that was only through three quarters of him playing football. Really,
yeah.
It was interesting.
Looked like he had a field day.
Yeah,
couldn't.
He made it look so easy.
Yeah, had every opening to throw into. Had the home crowd behind him. Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I guess they had some fans rush the field afterwards, knocking off the 11th ranked team, this early in the season. But I think personally, Michigan State might have been a little bit overranked.
Yeah.
So maybe the hype was there for Washington, but Michigan State really didn't hold up their end of the deal.
They didn't. So MSU falls from 11th in the AP poll outside of the top 25, and while Washington made the leap from unranked to the 18th in the poll. And like going to the overrated status, like, yeah, I think that's fair to say, because we really don't know if Washington's that good either.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, we'll see. Time will tell. But it was so. I bet you that was so disappointing for Spartan fans to sit down and watch that game, because you're expecting excitement. You're told that you're this, you're told that you're that, and you were far from it based on what we saw in this game.
Yeah, I think Spartan fans probably leaned on the Mel Tucker juice, train, Kool-Aid, whatever you want to call it, in East Lansing, couch burner.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I guess if you had high expectations on the season as a Spartan fan, they got knocked down to the floor. I know that they can just go and run off some Big Ten wins, and the Big Ten is a strong conference, and you're playing there. I think they were the recipient of national rankings trying to find the third best Big Ten team and give them a top 15 seed, because you don't want to have just all SEC teams. You don't want to have all Big 12 teams and Pac-12 and all Big Ten teams, right?
Yeah.
And I guess it's a reality check, like you said. This is it's got to hurt. It's got to hurt to lose a game like that, non-conference game. You're supposed to win those non-conference games.
Yeah. So it's easy to point the finger at the pass defense losing this. They were dead last season and currently ranked 77th in pass defense so far this season. But the defense had no sacks. They had no pressures. It was just so easy for Penix. And that's I think the biggest concern is it wasn't just like they were almost out Big Ten. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Washington is kind of one of those teams that they're Big Ten type, like trenches and all of that.
Cold weather.
Yeah, like they're built that way. And MSU got dominated on both sides in the trenches. And if you're look, Washington is it's a way different team than what Michigan played them last year. I get that. Yeah. They're a high-quality opponent. They're supposed to be a high-quality opponent. Well, time will tell what they turn into, but you were just manhandled on both sides of the trenches. And I think that is the scary thing for Michigan State heading into the Big Ten. Can they right the ship? Yeah, they can. Because I believe that Mel Tucker has a focus. I believe he's got a us against the world mentality that he can get these guys motivated, but when you get manhandled the way you did before you get to the Big Ten schedule,
yeah,
man, it could get ugly quick.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on both sides of the ball right now. Let's face it. You lose a non-conference game, a game that you're expecting to win. All credit to Washington, though. They brought in a new coach and. Listen to Joel Klatt talk about him on the Colin Cowherd show. He's the real deal too. I just think they got outplayed, outcoached. I don't know if the travel had anything to do with that. You don't like to blame it on that. I think college athletes are pretty accustomed to that. I think college athletics, they cater well to those kids that have to fly across the country to play a football game for the university and make them a little bit of money. But I think, this might, again, not – I don't want to say that Michigan State fans need to throw in the towel or call it a season by any means.
No, not yet.
But let's look at Mel Tucker. Let's look at a one-year coach at Washington beating an 11-seeded Michigan State team, Mel Tucker-led team.
Yeah.
And can we maybe not overdo it with the Mel Tucker – the Mel Tucker theme, the Mel Tucker, in the air and the water. There's, did he get out coached?
I believe he did
by a first-year coach in the Pac-12 that's not supposed to be good.
Yeah,
the Pac-12 is not supposed to be good.
Yep. Look, I don't want to bring up the contract. I don't want to say he's overpaid. That does not matter to me personally. But what I think you brought up here is he did get out coached.
Yeah.
And it was by a first-year coach. And it's not that – I don't want to erase what Michigan State did last year, because that was very impressive. What they did.
Absolutely.
And you got to hang your hat on those type of seasons. You have to.
And I'm not trying to bash Michigan State. I'm not. whatsoever.
Could it, and this is a low, right? Like losing to Washington, how low is it? Well, time will tell. But this is a low. Last year was a high. It feels like it's going to be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I was not hearing last year from Spartan fans was, no, this is our new thing. Like, this is what Mel Tucker is. This is what it's going to be. It's like, well, really, Mel Tucker, look at his whole career. Like, I see a tweet from a Michigan fan, but he's like, if Mel Tucker beats Minnesota 150 to nothing, he will now be even scoring for his positive negative in scoring as a head coach.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was just that kind of puts it in perspective. Yeah, last year feels like the anomaly. The COVID year was really bad. Where is it in the middle? Because I feel like that was their ceiling, that was their floor. Now where is it going to end? You know what I mean? Where is the consistent Mel Tucker-led team going to be? That's what I think we need to learn. That's what I think this year is about, is learning that. Now, this year it could fall out, and it could be more of a bottom, or they could respond. It's all right there. But
lucky for them, they're in the Big Ten, and they got a Big Ten schedule ahead of them. If they win some big games, they're right back to where they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to think that they're going to be an above-average team. Again, where's that happy medium?
Yep.
Law of averages, the good year, bad year. You got to imagine that somewhere in there is going to be an average year.
Yep.
But they got a chance to prove me wrong. But this was, I think, in a way, like a reality check that Washington's not going anywhere.
And I think that's another thing to bring up.
They're rebuilding. I feel. Again, this is the new landscape of NCAA and college football and the Big Five that's probably going to be eliminated here pretty soon.
Right. Washington's
auditioning right now.
Yeah.
What conference wants us?
Big
so
Ten.
I think they're kind of playing with a chip on their shoulder. Lucky for them, they drew a home game, and everything fell in their favor. But yeah, it seemed to be a game that was awfully lopsided.
All right, so I paused the recording. I'm sorry, I got to go to the bathroom. So we're going to keep the live stream going. This is awkward silence here. Sorry, I had a couple beers before we started.
No,
so.
Sam really forgot something in the oven. Frozen pizza, I believe it was. Pepperoni and bacon, seasoned crust. We're going to be fine. I'm going to crack into this Lost Art Star Party Pro-Am beer brewed by Paul Aarons. Double West Coast IPA with Phantasm powder. New to me. Looks like they're still working on a label for the actual can. But this is a fresh brew. Hi, Carrie. I'm not alone. Sam went down to Lost Art to get a smash burger. He just didn't tell me the truth. I'm going to start. This beer smells phenomenal. Smells phenomenal. I'm excited. I am really looking forward to this one. That's all good. How's Micah doing, Carrie?
He's doing his clinics. All right. Whew. We're going to pretend like nothing ever happened here. Ready? Do I just hit record or do I hit unpause? That's the question.
I think just record.
All right, here we go. All right, hit unpause.
Wow. News.
On a positive note, so obviously a lot of negative here. You lose a game, it's going to be negative. But on a positive note, MSU had a really nice goal line stand late in the first quarter when Washington ran the ball 4 times from the 1 yard line, which eventually led to Broussard's safety when he fell into the end zone. But the run defense in general was really solid. Only 106 yards on the ground. That's definitely a positive. But when you throw on the ball at will, like they were, that kind of will play a part. And I did want to bring up a Mel Tucker quote. He said, "We had a matchup issue that they took advantage of. It was obvious. It showed up early in the game. We knew it was going to be a game of explosives. We knew that we needed to eliminate explosive gains, and we weren't able to do that. The Spartans had the worst pass defense in the country a season ago. And while there was hope kind of through the first two games, it improved. The Spartans' secondary was completely exposed by Washington. The Spartans surrendered nearly 400 yards passing in just 3 quarters. Washington's first punt came in the final minute of the third quarter, which is another just crazy part of the issue here. And MSU just seemed simply unprepared. They really did. And they didn't show up, which happens. I get all of that. But if you're going to go in, so heading into this game, everybody was talking about Spartans are, ready to, they changed their sleep schedule. They did this, they did that. And all of the players were talking about sleep bank and all of these things that were just cool, I guess. But if you're going to talk all this hype of that you're kind of the smartest team in the world to go over to that side of the country and find a way to perform, you're going to take some heat when you don't perform. You know what I mean?
Maybe some unnecessary distractions.
Yeah,
that
possibly.
They kind of brought on themselves.
Football.
As much as that win is big for Washington, it's that big for Michigan to lose. You got to win that game, man. That's a non-conference game that maybe you can put on your resume if Washington finishes out their year.
Yeah.
Well, now, if Washington goes hot because they beat an 11-seeded team, then where do you fall? I'm just kind of blown away that the defense couldn't come up with a stop until the third quarter.
Yep, and Mel Tucker's the defensive coach. He came in as a defensive coach. He took over the DBs.
Yeah.
This is his problem.
Coming off a shutout, right?
Yeah, they're coming off a shutout, 52-0 against Akron, was it? Maybe. Yeah. But this is his specialty, if you will, that's getting exposed the most, and I think that's a cause of concern. I don't know the answers. I don't know if it's going to get fixed. I don't know if this is an overreaction, but I think what it is we talked about a lot of the potential flaws. I think through the first 2 weeks on this podcast, we talked about it of the stuff that we were like, keep an eye on this. This could be the issue. I think all of those things that we have talked about in the past couple weeks have been completely exposed by the first true test.
Yeah, it definitely came to fruition. They don't have Kenneth Walker. and
what they have rushing yards. 42 rushing yards.
Yeah, that's a head scratcher.
And that is the biggest thing. And I talked about when you don't have a good offensive line, you don't have a second-round talent in the NFL draft, that's where it can get tough. And that's where it's really, I think where it's going to hurt. I really do. And even with the good numbers, I think Thorne looked uncomfortable again at times. I think his offensive line really let him down. But when they do, he looks very uncomfortable. He throws at feet. He throws some very questionable balls. And I like I said, we talked about it last week or the week before. These are the things that we were talking about before this game, and now they get exposed even more when you lose this type of game that you weren't never even truly in. So I don't know if it's an overreaction. I really don't. They have everything in front of them. Their Big Ten future is right there. They just gotta find a way to respond. They really do.
Yeah, I'm looking at the box score here, and if I cover up the yards yards, so from total yards to yards per play, and I just look at the second half of the box score, I imagine that's going to be a pretty close game.
Yeah, so you got 24 to 21 first downs. You got 7 of 16 to 7 of 16 third down conversions. Fourth down conversions, very, very similar. Total plays very close. Punts close. Penalties close. Everything was close.
Yeah.
Time of possession.
led in time possession too for Michigan State and came up with 150 less yards.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know.
It's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that it was just them going to the West Coast and it's a one-time thing and they're going to come back and have a solid year still.
Yep.
I want the Big Ten to be competitive. I'm not rooting against Michigan State, but I feel like you got to have a little more of a showing in a game like this against Washington.
Yeah, it just makes the Big Ten look bad. Makes Michigan State look bad. It really does.
Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. State of My Sports.
Michigan beat another bad team. This time it was the UConn Huskies, 59-0, behind a dominant offense, defense, and special teams. On the offensive side, they put up 465 yards, 273 passing, 192 on the ground, with a 6.7 yards per play average. They had 26 first downs and went 9 of 13 on third down. JJ went 15 of 18 for 214 yards. Blake Corum had 71 yards on 12 carries and tying a school record, 5 touchdowns. The defensive side, they allowed 24 passing yards, 86 rushing yards for a total of 110 yards against Michigan's defense, that's just impressive. The Huskies had 6 first downs, 2 of 14 on third down, 0 for 2 on fourth. And then the special teams side, Michigan had a blocked punt, also had a punt return for a touchdown on a 61-yard return. Look, I mean, really not a whole lot to really talk about in this game, and I get that. Like, Michigan State had their first game. It was their first true test.
Mm-hmm.
They lost that test. Michigan has yet to face that. I get all of these conversations. I'm not going to pretend that, week 3, Michigan did this, State did this, and that's where it's even. No, this is a completely different level of opponent.
Michigan's got the 5th toughest strength of schedule through 3 weeks. No, we all know that. We know they're playing cakewalks right now, and this is how you're supposed to play. They covered the spread, which I didn't think they were going to do. I thought UConn was going to find a way to score like a touchdown and maybe like onside kick something and get a field goal out of the deal. But that's pretty impressive to only give up 110 yards of total offense. I don't care what team you're playing. Appalachian State puts up more yards than that, right? And that was always the joke, you know. Jim Mora is the coach for UConn. Once an NFL coach. He's bounced around. Personally, I feel like any NFL coach that goes back down and coaches college football gets more than 110 yards out of their offense on a Saturday.
Yeah. I wish I had his quote, but it was something along the lines of, that's a championship contender. This doesn't happen to my teams.
Very high praise to Jim Harbaugh and his staff. Which is great to know because we kind of lost a few guys at coordinator over the years. Gaddis and
both
and
coordinators.
Others. Yeah, so it's good to know that they're still just completely dominating these teams that they should dominate, but they dominated.
They did. They really did. There's just, like I said, not a whole lot to unpack, but I did want to bring a couple things.
We don't have
I mean, there's really not a whole lot to talk about in this game. Like, we're not going to bore you guys, trust me. As much as I'd love to sit and talk about Michigan for the next 45 minutes, I don't think we need to do that,
just
right?
hype. Michigan State's a little bit down, so
pump their tires.
Yeah, let's lift ourselves
I'm
up
down
a
with
little
you.
bit.
You want to do that? No. We'll wait for that.
Washington sucks.
Just a couple of things that really stuck out to me. And this is one little thing, and take it or leave it. I don't really care. But this was a drive midway through the second quarter. And to say the least, it was a bad drive. It looked like JJ was kind of told to, all right, you're not running the ball anymore. You're done running. Still keep the same game plan. But you're going to hand the ball off. And he did. He kept handing it off, and it looked like the running back was getting hit as the ball was getting. The drive was out of sorts, and it was a little disappointing. But I just remember the last play of that drive was JJ kind of running around, scrambling, waiting for someone to get open. It was 3rd and long. Everybody knows it was a bad drive. And instead of forcing it, he threw the ball away. And look, we know JJ has the better arm, and this is going back to the Cade-JJ argument, and I know this will probably be the last week of that, but we know JJ has the better arm. We know he has the better legs. We know he has a little bit more pinpoint accuracy downfield. What it turns into, like, short term, who knows about the accuracy thing. But the biggest question was, will he take care of the football? That's what everybody was saying. Well, will he take care of the ball? Can you trust him to run the offense correctly, or is he just going to force the ball? Is he going to take care of it? Is he going to turn it over? That right there was just like a sign. He knew that this drive was freaking awful.
Not going anywhere.
It wasn't going anywhere, but instead of forcing it, he was just like, I'll throw it away. Yeah, should I get a first down against UConn? Yeah, I should. But I don't need to. I don't need to prove anything. I'm just going to get rid of the ball, live to see another day, not turn it over, take care of that football. It was so nice to see that. Again, against UConn, all of those things, blah, blah, blah. It was nice to see, in my opinion.
Absolutely. It eliminates a interception on his season totals right out the get-go.
Yep.
And unless it's a touchdown, it's just another third down conversion.
Yep.
At the end of the day, grand scheme of things, I think it was the bigger move by the guy. It's shown that he's constantly thinking out there.
Yeah.
And you're going to face tougher defenses than UConn. So you should just take that opportunity of being able to scramble and have some time for something to open up to you and chalk that up as a win. And, again, not turn the ball over. Don't make some bonehead play. Don't get hurt. Don't throw your shoulder out.
Yep.
Let it go. Let your defense continue to do what they're doing. It's UConn at the end of the day. Game's pretty much out of hand. Yeah, you want to be dominant. You want to see 100 points on the board. But let's face it, it's reality.
Yep, and Carrie kind of came in and said, she said, just simply go blue. Yep, agree with that. But she said it was just a mature decision. It really was. And that's exactly what we need to see from a true sophomore if he's going to be the one running this show.
Yeah. And
we want this thing to be successful. The other thing that kind of stood out was the Cade injury. Sounds like he's going to be out for several weeks. Who knows what? I mean, I think it was a leg injury, but it just sucks. It puts more pressure on JJ, and like we know who the starter is. It doesn't affect any of that. But what I am worried about it affecting is JJ's decision to hold on to the ball and run. You know what I mean? If you don't have the security blanket on the sidelines there, are you going to be willing to risk it? Risk it for the biscuit, or are they going to change the play calling a little bit more to not run the ball as much? That's what came to mind. It wasn't necessarily, do I think we're going to lose because we lost our backup quarterback now? No, that shouldn't matter unless it changes the play calling. That's where I'm going to be like, mother effort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where it could really, really hurt. But again, they haven't had their test yet. And look, Maryland, far from being the test that I think Michigan fans want to know yet, I guess. I mean,
or Michigan really needs, because our sights are set pretty high.
Yeah, it's just that I just look at this game. It's the first time that I think they could be punched in the mouth, and how they're going to respond could be very interesting. You got Tagovailoa is a upperclassman quarterback with a couple wide receiver weapons. I just look at the offense, their offense against our defense. This will be a good test for our defense.
Absolutely.
You got their wide receivers, you got the quarterback, and then you also got Roman Hembley, who's a legitimate running back. He has 294 yards this season on 32 carries for a 9.18 average. This is a legitimate running back, where if Michigan can't stop him, that's when the red flags go up.
Yeah.
If they can, that's where you get a little bit more excited, where, look, you can stand up to the Michigan State's running game. You can stand up against Penn State's running game. Look out for Penn State right now. Their running game is out of this world. But you have all of these teams coming up where this is slowly progressing into the being tested.
Yeah.
It's a perfect matchup in this point right now.
A nice easy ramp. We don't want anything too drastic.
Exactly.
We don't want anything to be too boring until Ohio State comes around,
Yep.
Yeah, I think with everything that you lost on the defensive side of the ball last year, this will be a true test to see what we have.
With our defense, yeah.
Yeah, and where we stand on the national level.
We saw what happened in Michigan State when they played a legitimate quarterback, a veteran quarterback in this college football. This is what Michigan's going to be facing.
Yeah.
Tua's brother is that. He's been there, done that. He can think his way through a lot of situations. On that side of the ball, I'm excited to see how they respond. Now, the other side, the defense, no good. Maryland's defense still is not ready to put that pressure on a team.
Yeah.
Their defense is still they've given up 410 yards per game, 273 passing, 118 rushing, and 19.3 points per game against Buffalo, Charlotte, SMU. So I'm not going to go. Look, I'm saying this. Michigan goes out and wins this game by 30. I'm not being like, that shows them we finally got our first take. This is not a test, in my opinion, on that side of the ball. If we can outscore this team, that should be a gimme.
Yeah.
I think we're learning about our defense. We're not learning anything about our offense. That's why I'm going to sit and look at this game.
I feel like they're just going to run the ball down their throat, and it's going to give JJ all the time in the world, drop back.
Do it again.
Yeah, you got a couple guys that can make a big play catching the ball. I think the ball is going to move up and down the field real quick on the offensive side. Can we slow them down on defense? Can we hold them? Can we contain them and frustrate a quarterback, like you said, that has experience and has thrown the ball for a long time, can probably make the plays with the best of them? Let's get the best out of our defense.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what happens as soon as that. As soon as all of it kind of keeps going.
If it's craft beer in Michigan sports, we may not be the authority, but we love both like a fat kid loves cake. Hot, hot! This is State of My Sports.
We're cruising. We are cruising into our picks. Oh, that's the wrong button. Into our picks. We're already in the picks.
I'm waiting.
Believe that?
I'm waiting for you to get into the
Have you dug into yours yet?
Yeah, the second beer grade.
Ooh. All right.
I cracked this one up open when you went upstairs to check on whatever was in the oven.
Hard-boiled eggs.
Yeah. And the aroma caught me first, and I was super excited off of the smell.
Oh.
It's kind of
What
potent.
hops is that Amarillo hops or something?
What was it? No, it was
Is that the Phantasm powder?
Yeah. Now the smell and the flavor, the taste, they're not the same.
Nope. No, I was thinking the exact same thing when you said that.
But then you got to remember that it's a double IPA, right?
Okay.
So maybe that's where that
was a terrible pour.
Mine was pretty foamy too. It's probably just because it's a fresh brew.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Brand new.
Yeah. No label yet for the can.
Yeah.
Just rocking the classic Detroit Lions, Honolulu Blue right there in the middle. Lost Art Brew can.
That is nice.
It's a good beer though.
Yeah. So the sip of foam that I had was good. We'll see. We'll see when I get to the actual beer. But I did want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, bettinghero.com. Promo code MIBETS. What you do, if you're interested in betting on sports, you go to bettinghero.com, plug in promo code MIBETS, and they will lay out all of the best promotions available in the sports betting world, all of them. You have BetMGM, Fox Bets, FanDuel, DraftKings, all of them are there, and they all want your money so badly they're willing to give you free money because they think they can wrap you in. But I don't know. Just do that if you're interested in the sports betting world, and then you can check all the lines out and all that good stuff. You guys know the drill. If you don't remember, listen to the last episode. I probably explained it better. Let's just remember that. But last week, Micah went 6-2 for 15-10 overall. Ryan 4-4 for 15-10 overall. I went 7-1. Oh boy, for 13-12. I'm above 500.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've had a couple like really subpar weeks in a row since the first week.
Yeah, so you went 4-4. You're 12-13 overall. Kyle went 3-5, 14-11 overall. So I got everybody's picks here. I actually didn't get your pick for this game, so don't look at the score.
I know. I just penciled it in.
Anyways, we're gonna start with our Thursday night pick. This was supposed to be on Tuesday, obviously. A couple days late here. But anyways, Thursday Night Football, Steelers at the Browns. Browns were a 5.5-point favorite. I had the Steelers. Ryan had the Steelers. Mike had the Steelers. Kyle had the Steelers. John, who did you have before this game started?
All right, so I didn't look at the scoreboard until just now. But what I looked at was everybody's picks. I'm going to go against the field here.
You're going to go Browns plus
I'm
5.5.
I'm going to go Browns and try to make up a game here on this overall schedule. Otherwise, I'm still going to be under 500.
They also have a 13-7 lead, so that's a very smart pick for you.
Is that 6 right now?
6 point lead.
6 points? I don't know. Trubisky's looking hot.
I'm a Pickens touchdown away from being real happy.
Deontay Johnson, he's had a couple catches in a row. I don't even know how they scored any of the points. I haven't been watching any of the game.
Najee Harris got a touchdown, which is also another bet of mine.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just going against the field on that one, but we can move on.
Sunday Night Football, 49ers at the Broncos. Broncos plus 1.5. Ryan and Mike are taking 49ers. Kyle's taking the Broncos. I'm taking the Broncos. What are you doing, John?
I'm going Broncos as well. I think Russell Wilson needs a big week for me for fantasy football purposes, and I just don't know that the 49ers are going to have enough to come into Denver and do anything in the
underdog is always so intriguing to me. It is hard to take a home, or it's hard not to take a home underdog, in my opinion. Last NFL game, you got the Lions at the Vikings. We all got the Lions. John, what are you doing?
I'm trying to make up two games.
Vikings minus 5.5.
Yeah, I'm trying to make up 2 games on the field. I'll go Vikings. I want the Lions to win. I'm just doing this for the betting hero purposes.
Honestly,
of this segment.
I almost took the Vikings as well, just because.
I feel like Kirk
win
Cousins,
by a touchdown is pretty.
I feel like Kirk Cousins has to have a bounce back game.
Yeah.
I guess we'll kind of see what happens, and if they can get the running game going with Dalvin Cook, it might be a scary one for Detroit.
Jumping over to some college. College football is very, very hard to bet on. It is what it is, though. At the noon slot, you got number 5 Clemson. At number 21 Wake Forest. Wake Forest, 7-point underdog. They're getting 7 points in this game. Micah taking Wake Forest. Kyle, Ryan, and myself are all taking Clemson. I don't know why. I feel like I got to take Wake Forest here, but I'm just going to take Clemson. I don't know.
I'm going to go Clemson as well.
Yeah.
Looks like Micah's going to try to make one up on the rest of us.
Yep. Micah is on an island there, but I kind of like the island he's on. I really do. Seems like a nice little spot there. Moving on to a 7 o'clock game. You got number 10 Arkansas at number 23 Texas A&M. Texas A&M, a 2.5-point favorite at home against number 10 Arkansas. Ryan's taking Arkansas. Micah's taking Arkansas. Kyle and I are taking A&M. John, be the tiebreaker here.
I'll join you and Kyle with the Texas A&M. I feel like they were a better team preseason. I know they lost a little weird one there. What was that, week 2?
App State?
Yeah. Man, I don't know. That's a tough one. Arkansas 10 versus number 23.
It's a tough game.
I don't know. I'm just going to favor with the hometown crowd there.
All right, moving on to some Big Ten. You got Wisconsin at Ohio State. Ohio State, 18-point favorite. Ryan's taking Wisconsin. Kyle's taking Wisconsin. Mike and I are taking OSU. Another tie-breaking opportunity here for you, John.
I'm going to side with Kyle on this one and not you on this one. I'm going to go Wisconsin. I think they're going to make it a close enough game. I think Ohio State is going to be exposed a little bit. Maybe Wisconsin's offensive line can keep the ball in their hands for a little bit and not give Ohio State enough possessions to cover 18 points.
I think that's a good idea.
I don't think Wisconsin's going to win the game.
I think it could be a backdoor cover type thing.
I think it's going to be a close game.
Ohio State hasn't looked insanely good yet. I think this really will tell us more about Wisconsin rather than anybody else.
Yeah, I don't think Ohio State has really put the foot on the gas pedal yet this season, and I know they got a new kind of new wide receiver regime too. You know, losing Olave and Garrett Wilson. I think it'll be a breakout game, but I just hope that Wisconsin can keep it like a 2-score game.
All right, jumping into the Michigan game. It's a noon start. You got Maryland at number 4 Michigan. Michigan's 17-point favorite. We're all taking Michigan. John, do you agree? Or is this another one of your opportunities?
I picked UConn to lose last week by like 40 points instead of 49.5 or whatever it was on Tuesday. So I'm going to do Jim Harbaugh a favor, and everybody else here, we're going to ride that boat is full of Michigan. I'll go Michigan to cover that 17 points.
All right. Last but not least, you got the 3:30 game, Minnesota at Michigan State. Michigan State, a 2.5-point home underdog. Everybody was losing it when they were underdogs heading into Washington. It obviously made sense once we got there, and everything kind of fell into place here. But, man, Ryan and Mike are taking Minnesota. Kyle and I are taking MSU. I'm just going to take the home underdog at this point. It just makes sense, I guess, but I don't know. What are you doing, John?
I haven't seen much out of Minnesota this year. What are they doing? What's PJ
They
Fleck
have
got
the
going
number
on?
one offense and number one defense so far, but they haven't played a whole lot. So.
In the Big Ten?
Yeah.
All right, give me Minnesota.
I mean,
I'm sorry,
that
State
is such
fans.
a tough game.
I feel like I bashed you earlier. I wasn't trying to. I don't know. That is a tough game. I wouldn't be surprised if that changes a little bit come
I don't
game
think
day,
we need
but
to apologize because they kind of deserve to be trashed a little bit, right?
I feel like they were on a little high horse there for a minute, and
Yeah.
now they're back on the mini pony like you all got to start off at. Let's take a step back. We thought Jim Harbaugh was going to win us a national championship year 2, and it didn't happen either. Come on now.
All right. Well, that were the picks of the week. So we're gonna jump in. Actually, let me just do a buffer here. Bumper.
Drinking craft beer, having fun, and talking sports in the state of Michigan. You're listening to State of My Sports.
So we're drinking from Lost Art Brewhouse. Brewhouse. So we started off with the Oktoberfest. And then we moved on to this IPA. This IPA, man. Oh, my gosh. Star Party?
Packs a punch, like flavor-wise and weight.
Goodness.
It's not overbearing by any means. It's got the smell. It's got a taste. It's super unique for a double IPA.
I wonder if it's that Phantasm powder. I don't know. What is that? Is that a new thing? Is that going to be like the next Idaho 7 hops? You know what I mean? Like when all of a sudden those came really popular.
I think.
What is going on with this?
I think we might have to revisit both of these beers when both of the other guys or all of us are here.
Right?
Because they're both very, very good, and I would like to see a little more description on this one.
Yeah, so obviously we don't know a whole lot. Actually, if you could, can you describe the Oktoberfest? Read everybody what it is. What I'm going to do is look up their Instagram, see if their Star Party is on there.
All right, so yeah, the Oktoberfest, 5.8% alcohol by volume. Traditional German-style lager. It's filled with rich, flavorful malts and balanced by lightly floral hops. It pours with glowing orange hues in the glass and exudes vibrant, bready malt aromatics while finishing crisp and clean. Just think of crisp and clean and Oktoberfest and just combine the three together.
That's a very good description.
We could have just graded that one. I could have had a couple of those tonight, and that's, again, rare for me when it comes to October beers, fall beers. Fall and winter turns around, I want to drink something light because I don't want to feel heavy out there in the snow and I'm shoveling snow. It's a great beer. It's a great transition to
the fall.
It looked
first day of fall today.
It was, and it felt like it too.
Yeah.
It poured a little bit darker in the glass, and I'm hesitant when it comes to darker beers in general. It doesn't matter. Same with whiskeys. The darker, the more I'm kind of leaning on. But this one was good, man.
It was good.
This is worthy of like being on shelves. I'm sorry, like
I
everywhere
agree.
you look. I'm not a Sam Adams Oktoberfest beer.
Yeah.
They got an October one, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's a couple out there. Maybe that's because they're made in huge batches and they just don't taste that good. This was a dang good beer.
It is really good.
And I'm worried because October is coming around and it's just going to appeal to me more and more as these days go by. But no, solid beer. I don't know if you want my grade right now.
Yeah. Let's grade the Oktoberfest.
I'm going to throw an 8.0. I wanted to go 8.1, but an 8. It's an 8. It's an 8 category beer in my opinion, and that's speaking highly on other beers surrounded by the Oktoberfest theme that I would not rank in the sixes.
Look, I'm right there with you. I'm not big on the German style. I'm not big on the Oktoberfest beers. Like that's just not up my alley. I would go there and I would order this.
Absolutely.
Which is saying a whole lot because those are the last things that I ever go in and order at a brewery.
Yeah.
It's just not what I do. That is a well done beer. And honestly, like if you love Oktoberfest, I don't know if this fits your goal. You know what I mean? Like that's where I kind of play that.
Yeah, maybe
like it might not fit the mold, if you will, and that might be what I like about it.
Yeah.
But I would love to know like what highly German style beer enthusiasts would like think of this, because I love it. I want to drink that thing out of a boot. Like fill that boot up, and I want to Das Boot it. You know what I mean?
I mean it has
not a Trav boot like a yellow that he has to do for a bet, but like a glass boot, and like you got to do the twist.
You might have a couple of those coming up here by the end of the year. But I just think that it's got the flavor profile of an October beer.
Yeah, I'm gonna match your grade with an 8.0.
8.0?
Very, very solid beer.
I think that's a good baseline.
Big fan.
I think we need Ryan's opinion on this one.
That would be,
drastically, and I think Micah's on the double IPA.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. So I couldn't find any more information about Star Party, but it is 8.7% alcohol by volume, Pro-Am beer, brewed by Paul Ahrens, double West Coast IPA with Phantasm powder.
You should Google Phantasm.
I should. What does that mean? Do you know
I don't.
What it means?
I don't know. It's got to be up there with fantastic.
I'm looking it up right now.
And maybe another word that ends in asm. I can't say right now on air.
Powder.
But going back to the Oktoberfest, like you said, maybe this doesn't reach the marquee fans of October beers. I wonder if they think it's maybe too light, but I feel like it's got everything there of an October beer. It's just a little more enjoyable to drink. So
I did find out what Phantasm powder is. All right.
Uh-oh.
So the product is a powder derived in New Zealand, marble Sauvignon Blanc grapes, which are rich in words I cannot read. You can read this.
That's what they
than
use
me.
for wine, right?
Yeah. Which
Sauvignon Blanc.
we actually did a beer that had some Sauvignon. I think it was a Arvon beer, right? That did some Sauvignon Blanc beer, like grapes or something.
Yeah. It was, I feel like it had red in the name too, didn't it?
Yeah, I think it was like Can you read that? Because there's some words in there that I cannot
Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc grapes, which are rich in thiol precursors that are known for creating aromas of citrus, guava, and passion fruit. See, I
wouldn't say fruity. I'm surprised that it had fruit in it.
I think
like
when I cracked the can and got the first aroma, I was like, oh man, this is like a citrusy double IPA.
Yeah.
It's not citrusy in flavor.
No, I agree with that.
Maybe a little bit and a hint of the aroma.
The smell is way different
than the taste. Yeah.
When I smell it, I smell hops personally.
Yeah.
Yeah. But when it's not hoppy to the palate, in my opinion.
I got like a back end like citral.
Yeah.
But the taste isn't that.
Man,
and it's strong.
There's times that I wish we had more people.
Yeah,
I want to know what people think about this.
This one
thing.
Is a unique beer. This one is
very good.
I think both of these beers are worth grading in a group setting.
Yeah.
Ryan, Micah, on that note, we miss you guys. We wish you were here. We hope you listen to the replay tomorrow when you're bored at work or using the facilities.
Exactly. So I'm gonna grade it first. I'm gonna go with an 8.3. I think it is an excellent beer. I really do. And it's more my style, which is probably why I get the 3 extra points, in this situation. But
it's got
a good beer.
It's got like a strong, unique flavor. And like sometimes double IPAs are just like heavy on the hop flavor as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the smell and the hop like transition together. But it's not that, it doesn't feel that heavy. Is 8.7?
It drinks smoother than that for sure.
I think it drinks smoother than the 8.7. I'll be reminded in the morning when I wake up and hop in the shower before I go to work.
We'll see what kind of headaches we get.
Hopefully I don't fall over.
We should regrade every morning. Be like, this gave me a 4.3 headache.
Yeah, just a Richter scale of migraines.
Exactly.
Oh, man, this is a solid beer, too. And I think of Arvon when I think of double IPAs.
Yeah,
double or triple IPAs. Arvon are my favorite. This one's a little bit smoother, but I think it's got everything that an Arvon double IPA would have, weight-wise, content-wise, I guess.
I'm telling you,
all right,
what Lost Art is doing, they are,
man,
in my opinion, up and coming.
This is
up and coming brewery, brew house, whatever you want to say, because they make incredible beer. What they're doing in that little space that they have is unbelievable. They're working on some things. They got the burger truck. They got another one in the making. Like, I'm telling you, dude, look out for them because they could make some noise here soon. If they start distributing, if they can kind of keep up with that capacity and also keep the brew house full, like, they're going to make some noise in the West Michigan brewery community, if you will.
I mean, they already had my respects when it came to the beer.
Yeah.
And, man, I just see these mouth-watering pictures of some burgers on their Smash Burger Instagram page. Man, this one's a tough one to grade.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to shoot too high, right? Like, what's too high?
If you love it, you love it, man.
I'm going to go 8.5. And I think that's about the second or third beer that's hit that tier for me.
Yeah.
On the podcast.
I bet you. Yeah, you're probably right.
I know
that is a very good beer.
The Double Hutch got a 9.7.
That's what I was drinking
earlier.
It
was draft night, and it was, I had to go off the number on the jersey, which was a great beer. Man, this one's in that same category.
That is a good beer.
I'm gonna go 8.5, and that might be selling it a little bit short.
I hope that this becomes a staple because I don't know. What Lost Art does is they do a great job of kind of rotating the taps and making new stuff, making new recipes, all of that good stuff. Brad does a great job with that. But then when they get that hit, they continue to bring it back and they make it a staple that I think is important. And I hope that this becomes one. Now, I don't know who Paul Aarons is. I don't know if this is like a joint brew, like anything like that. I have no clue. But
I know Aarons is a big name in the West Michigan.
Probably going to be short-lived. So I highly recommend going to Lost Art and getting that along with a burger here very soon because that is an unreal beer.
We definitely got to get back up there. And shout out to Big Drew
when he came on.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Good dude, good solid dude.
We should have him back on.
I know he's loving what he's doing in life right now. He's always just I know he's connected, and I know that's where we hung out with him that night.
Yeah.
He's always sharing Lost Art stuff on Instagram.
Yeah.
And props to Big Drew.
Yeah, we should get him back on.
I definitely want to get back up there and just drink some beers and maybe get a burger prior to the show recording. Yeah. But if we can get up there for a broadcast again, that'd be great. If not, I'm down to go anytime.
We should just go. Yeah, let's do it.
We should.
Let's seriously do it.
Yeah.
We really should. But, man, that great beer. Shout out to Lost Art. You guys did a great job. We got a couple great ones here. It's just, it doesn't get any better than that. Let's be honest. It really doesn't. That was awesome. But that was episode 174?
74.
We're getting up there. Thank you very much for being here. Thursday night. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. It's a late one, but we'll talk to you next week, if not sooner.
You've been listening to State of My Sports. From the Red Wings to the Lions, to the Tigers to the Pistons, to Michigan and Michigan State, and everything in between, we're talking about it. And don't forget the beer. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. In the meantime, hook up with us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch at State of My Sports with an MI. We'll see you next time.